the assessment comes from impact, correct?
Run to it.
We do this every year. We try to put numbers and limits on things before we even get down to see where we're at. Let's let's go through the budget process, see where we're at, and then do our full process, and we'll see where we can get as close as possible. I'm very wary this year of trying to put in a limit. We did that last year and it didn't work out quite so well. We ended up there anyway, but we spent hours discussing whether it should be 2%, 3%, or 1%.
I guess that's,
Let's go through the process and see where we're at.
staff is asking for, they put a lot of stuff,
Yeah.
the work that goes into the budget, 98% of it happens with staff before it comes here. And we need to give them a direction so that they can put that together before they bring it here and we chop it all to pieces. Councillor Cook has his hand up.
Agreed, 100%. I think if you don't give them a target to shoot for, then basically you're just got a shotgun approach to it. And I would agree with the Deputy Mayor that if we have a reasonable impact increase this year, that we should maybe even look at reducing what our target is set for in the overall objective for this year.
Councillor Russell, see if you hand it up next.
I'm going to make a motion that the target will be 2% of last year's budget, a plus of 2% of last year's, ignoring the assessment increase or whatever it would
So
be
that's a
called.
3% reduction?
Is
that what you're saying?
Whatever the budget was last year, 2% above it is the target for right now.
The dollar amount of
So that
last
they
year.
have a target, as you so rightly agree. It's 2%, we can change, they have a target, and we can increase or decrease, and that's our job, right? Isn't that what you were trying to say?
That's what I was saying.
Okay.
Give them a target.
Second.
2%
I'll second
additional
that.
dollars over last year's dollars. Assessments out of it are
I don't care about assessment, just whatever the budget was, 2%. Let's simplify.
2%.
I second
that?
as well.
Sure.
Okay, second. Question.
Just a quick question through to Janet. Janet, I guess, did MPAC guesstimate the 5%?
Yeah, basically those are the preliminary information.
Yeah.
We don't have a roll return, we won't have it till mid-December, but
Yeah.
that's preliminary data right now.
Okay.
That's right.
Deputy Mayor Day?
Yes, I was just looking at previous budgets, if I could go through to you to Janet, and I noticed that in 2010 that the council was spending, budgeting 1.13 million for roads, and then we backed it off in 2011 to only $872,000. So it was quite considerably cut back, and so now we're kind of paying the consequences for that cutback in roads. And I'm just wondering why it was cut back so significantly in light of the fact that the roads need study was in 2010, 2011, and is predicting such heavy needs for the roads, like a minimum of $2 million, and we were backing it up to $872,000.
I would have to take a look at it and compare it year over year, like from 10 to 11.
Yeah, from 10 to 11, it went from 1.13 to 872.
I think that those are questions that we need to do at a budget meeting, and when we have the budget, I think we're asking for a guideline or a recommendation now. We're not going to go through, unless council wants to. It's council's wish. If we want to talk about individual budget items.
Well, just to follow up there, because it was part of this report, whether roads would be an issue or not. I absolutely do agree that we have to increase the amount we're spending on roads. And
Don't disagree.
the things I think that we need to spend on are not recreational related. I think we're spending plenty on recreation, and other reports later on will ask us if we want to spend more subsidizing hockey and things. I think we have to focus on these things like the dredging in the water. We have to focus on the crosswalks so that people aren't getting killed. We have to deal with, there's an issue in Grand Bend. Someone got killed. We've got an issue there for sure. And improving the parking in Grand Bend, other really serious issues. I think we need to focus on that and reduce perhaps some of our spending in these other areas.
Okay. Motion is a target of 2% dollars over last year's dollars. All in favor of that? Carried. 8.4, lease renewal, King Street parking lot. There's we have an opportunity to continue the lease renewal on Main Street. Deputy Mayor Day?
Yes, I'll make a motion to enter the renewal of the current lease
Go to
with
your
the
year.
owners of 59 Main Street.
Second by Councillor Bonstein. Question?
Yeah, I do have a question, through you to John. John, the only thing that makes me kind of nervous on this is that he's willing to extend the current lease on a year-to-year basis until he's able to sell the lot or redevelop it. And I guess what I'm wondering is are we gonna have sufficient lead time? For example, if he was able to sell it July the 1st, which is a prime parking time for us, we lose that revenue on the lease. That's the only thing I'm wondering about is there be some type of, and I don't know whether you can demand his closing date for a prospective buyer, you know, be 60, 90 days out or whatever, but I'm just,
We can take that up, I understand what
you
you're
know,
talking about.
I'm going,
He's
yeah.
worked well with us in terms of
Yeah,
understanding that summer season is peak, and
okay,
we'll discuss about renewals after that.
okay.
We can take that up.
Okay, all in favor of that? Carried. I think we're on to 8.12, related
Before you
connection.
leave that, it requires 60 days notice at this point in time, so we've got a bit of a window there.
Okay, thanks.
Okay, 8.5, report 35. Deputy Mayor Day?
Yes, I think it would be helpful to council to have the perspective of the people in the rural area as well with regards to the water lines. And so I'm going to make a motion that we table this motion until we have some type of report or a delegation from the rural people so that all perspectives could be present before we have a discussion.
Councillor Cook?
I'll second it for discussion, but I'm gonna disagree with the motion. I think we've already had that discussion, put the water line in, we heard from the rural people when the water line was in. I think we've already had that discussion, I think it's just a matter of deciding, you know, where we go with it from here. Just looking for direction. I'll move the recommendation, actually, and move forward.
I guess there's a motion on the table that we, and it's been moved and seconded, unless we draw that, that we,
Yes, I appreciate the work that Pat has put into his report, and it has some information there, but there was a lot more communicated between the people, the residents themselves, and the council of the time. And I think it's just helpful for council to be aware of the history. And so it's not going to hurt anyone. We're just going to collect information, and if it requires a decision at that time, we will. But at this point, it's just informational, so it's not going to hurt anyone to at least hear from them.
Councillor Scott?
Is there more information available that would help in this decision? That
Yes.
from the history, through
Yes.
you, Mr. Mayor Tripati?
Well, it's not up to me to decide that. However, I think council's policy was put in bylaws, and that's how council speaks through its bylaws. I've given you a copy of the bylaw for the rural water main. I've given you quotes of the official plan that tell us how we're supposed to deal with development. I'm not sure what other information is available, but
There's lots more.
Councillor Underwood?
Well, what kind of information are we talking about here? Are we talking about like written legal agreements or something? I mean, because we have reports in front of us, and I understand what you're saying, and I feel it is important to get as much information from the residents and all their concerns and all the rest, but this is a fairly old issue, isn't it? I mean, isn't this, have we gone through this a couple of times or not?
Councillor Russell?
Just a question through to the deputy. When you said about making a decision, I'm confused in terms of, this is good information in terms of the question you asked, right? You asked a question of, so decision-wise, I understand what you want for information, I got all that. What decision are we making versus the resolution that you asked for information? What decision are we making as a council? Are we, where is this headed as far as decision-making is
Right,
my question
which is
to
a
you?
warranted question.
Yeah.
The point is that we are currently requiring something of the rural lot owners that the rural residents were assured would not be required, and that is mandatory connection. And I don't think this current council has had a clear understanding. If I ask you questions about what did the council of the day assure the rural people at the time? I don't think that you would necessarily know. It's warranted